Okay, the second video on conscience is going to be a somewhat shorter, but there are elements of it where I'm going to be tied into questions that I'll be asking for our next Google Meet. Section D on page 144 talks about the formation of conscience. Now, how does a person develop a mature conscience? Are you just set up with a mature conscience from birth? And the answer to that is no, you're not. I mean, take a 3-year-old child, for instance, okay? Most of you, and we've talked about multiple times, if you're presented with some type of food choice that you really like, you're not going to eat all of it, at least in most cases, because you know that's not in your best interest. But you give a 3-year-old a jar of cookies or all that Halloween candy, often, in most cases, what are they going to do? They're going to chow the whole thing. Okay, and if no one is... Now, there are some natural consequences, obviously, that follow along these lines. You eat all the cookies, you eat all the Halloween candy, eventually you're going to get sick. But some people are simply still not going to learn the lesson, and they're going to keep eating all the cookies. How do they learn not to do this? In most cases, it's their parents who proceed to shape them by saying, no, you can't have all the cookies. You can't even have one cookie because you're going to spoil your appetite for dinner. You may have one cookie after the meal, but you may not have 12 cookies. Now, why do the parents do this? They don't want to spoil the kid's appetite. They're concerned with them having appropriate health, forming good habits, because if they get into a habit of eating absolutely anything they like, we all know what the consequences are for that. So, the kid's conscience isn't sufficiently formed for them to realize that they need to be temperate in their actions. Parents assist with this sort of thing. Now, your conscience gets formed not only by others, but also the other stuff you take in. Here's something else I want you to write down. The eye is the lamp of the soul. The eye is the lamp of the soul. I want you to write that down. And on Wednesday, I'm going to ask you, what do you think that means? Remember that, because this ties into conscience formation. The other element I want to talk about in regards to conscience formation is, like I said, your parents are involved in assisting you in forming your conscience. Who else or what else assists in the formation of your conscience? That's one question. Here's another question. Is conscience formation done at a particular time, or does it keep going throughout life? Okay, so what are sources of conscience formation? That's one question we're going to have to resolve on Wednesday. Another one is, and I need participation on this, so what are the sources of conscience formation, and what is this meaning of the term, the eye is the lamp of the soul? So that's one element of formation of conscience, but there's another element known as character formation. This harkens back to what we've been talking about very often from the beginning of class, in particular with Aristotelian ethics and virtue creation. Okay? Your conscience also gets formed by the habits that you form. If you get into the habit of telling the truth on the regular basis, then when you're in a corner, it's going to be easier for you to tell the truth. On the other hand, if you tend to tell a lie because you're trying to save your own skin, when you're in some form of compromised position, you do it one time and you get away with it, then you're going to be more likely to tell that lie in the future, and consequently your conscience gets hampered. So your conscience gets formed by others around you. There's the notion this eye is the lamp of the soul. Again, we'll get into that. But it is also formed by your own character. What's one of the problems with regularly telling a lie? So someone challenges you on the lie, so to solve that you can tell the truth or tell another lie. Since someone proceeds to challenge you on that, you can now come clean, but now you got to come clean on 2 lies, or you can tell another lie. But then what's one of the problems with forming this chain of lies? It tends to get pretty difficult to maintain it. Okay, I forgot. What did I say in this given circumstance? In all honesty, I like to perceive myself as an honest person. I am told by others sometimes that I am an honest person. You want to know one of the main reasons I am honest? It's because I'm too stupid to keep my lies straight. I tell the truth because it's easier. Now, someone might say, now, why do you tell the truth if it's easy? It means you're going to get in trouble. You know what happens most of the time when you do something wrong and you tell the truth? You know what most people do? They cut you a break. They say, oh, okay, I get it. You screwed up. Just don't let it happen again. On the other hand, if you get caught in a network of lies, now are they going to let you off? Heck no. arguably, I mean, I was raised to tell the truth, but I also do it in part because it's easier. I'll also tell you, quite frankly, my conscience won't let me hang with a lie to someone else. I end up feeling guilty about it, and I hate that feeling of guilt. It's interesting how guilt can motivate our consciences, right? Okay. Yeah, and with regards to this element of character formation, this question, who are held up in our communities as heroes? That's another question that I'm going to want to ask on Wednesday. I'm not gonna get into it right now. Finally, pardon me. No, I don't have COVID-19. On page 145, section F, the Catholic ethicist Richard Gula suggests we ask ourselves the following questions whenever we're faced with a moral conundrum. What is really the case? Next, who? Okay, who's being affected by my given action? Is it just me? Is it others? Okay, like for instance, that last question there, under who? Whether I'm a diabetic affects the morality of my eating habits. Okay, my family serves a big apple pie. They can eat it. I really shouldn't, because apple pie is loaded with sugar, and sugar is bad for me. So while it's morally perfectly okay for them to eat the apple pie, morally for me, it's kind of suspect. Okay, when and where? Ask these questions. Driving the speed limit. It's interesting. I find it funny. Driving 55 has different moral meaning when it's done in a school zone at 3 o'clock than when it's done on Interstate 80. I used to live on Interstate 80. Question. Would it ever be okay for me to drive 90 miles an hour on Interstate 80? Most of you, I suspect, would say no. What if I told you that my wife is, what was it? She was 6.5 months into a 9-month pregnancy with our son Christopher, and she went into labor. We live 12 miles away from the hospital. We live in a town called Green River, Wyoming. 12 miles away is the town of Rock Springs. That's where the hospital is. There is nothing between Green River and Rock Springs, just a freeway. I throw my wife into the truck. Guess how fast I travel? You got it right. It was about 90, 95 miles an hour till we got into town, and then I slowed down. Question. If a Wyoming State Patrolman had pulled me over, would they have given me a ticket? Answer. Almost certainly not. They probably would have escorted me in. Okay, at least that's how it worked in Wyoming back in the mid-90s. Was I breaking the law? Yeah, I was. Okay. Question. Should I be driving 90 with a pregnant woman through a school zone? Answer. Absolutely not. Why? Because of the when and the where and the who. Children are involved, right? Other children. Yeah, I'm speeding to the hospital to try and save possibly my wife's life, almost certainly my son's life. That's a big deal. But you want to take other people's lives in the process. You're not going to travel 90 in the school zone. Then you ask why and how. The why illuminates the crucial matter of motivation. How is a crucial matter and can change the morality of an otherwise good action. How gets back to this notion of consequentialism. Do the ends justify the means? I need to get the truth of something. Okay, getting the truth. Is that a bad motive? Absolutely not. I use torture. Is this a problem? Yeah, it is. After we get done with some of these sections, we're going to start getting into the meat of things. Some of these juicy topics, like is torture okay? Is war okay? I also talked about like gay marriage and contraception and abortion and all that stuff. Yeah, somehow online we're going to be getting into that stuff as well. You will see that comes to the end of this section. Be prepared to answer those various questions I gave you during this video, because hopefully we'll be having an actual proper discussion during our next meet. That is slated for tomorrow. I'll see ya.